In a shocking and unprecedented rebuke, French President Emmanuel Macron has enacted a ban prohibiting Prince Harry from setting foot in France during the upcoming 2024 Summer Olympic Games in Paris. The edict, issued directly from the Élysée Palace late yesterday evening, stunned the world and plunged relations between France and the United Kingdom into their deepest crisis since the Napoleonic Wars. It is with immense regret, but also unwavering resolve, that I must take this drastic unilateral action barring the Duke of Sussex from entering the French Republic over the Olympic fortnight, President Macron solemnly declared in a nationally televised address. His Majesty's government in London has been duly notified, and I trust they understand the severity of Prince Harry's transgressions which regrettably forced our hand in this matter. The Élysée Palace provided no further clarification on the precise grounds for the draconian ban, leaving appalled royal experts and seasoned diplomatic observers frantically speculating as to what unforgivable breach of protocol Harry may have committed. While untold scenarios were breathlessly floated through the evening onto Twitter and the 24-hour news cycle, ranging from damaging leaks of Élysée Palace secrets to inappropriate romantic dalliances to potential security risks, the Franco-British rift only deepened as the hours dragged on without explanation. Buckingham Palace swiftly condemned the ban as a reckless, disproportionate overreaction and demanded President Macron overturn the prohibition immediately. However, the Élysée steadfastly stood its ground, with the French leader's own staffers leaking snippets of his alleged fortes paroles regarding the unwelcomed prince. He knew exactly the line he crossed. It's a matter of national dignity now. He'll be lucky if we don't. No, the Olympics are sacrosanct. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex had been planning a working tour of several European nations surrounding the Paris Games, to be attended by their entire California-based family including children Archie and Lilibet. The 2024 Olympics would mark the first globe-spanning mega sporting event for the Sussexes since their Oprah-revealing interview and acrimonious estrangement from the royal family over allegations of racism and mental duress. Now, regardless of whatever imbroglio sparked President Macron's retaliation, the entire endeavor is veering toward irreparable collapse before it even began. I've simply never witnessed such undisguised personal animus directed by a major allied head of state toward a member of the British royal family, at least not since the days of the Jacobite uprisings under Bonnie Prince Charlie, remarked Sir Malcolm Nivens, the Crown's former senior-most diplomatic advisor. The French have demonstrated they clearly feel their nation's prestige and pride was grievously violated by some misdeed they deem deplorable enough to scuttle any prospect of reconciliation before the Olympic ceremonies. As confused Britons raged against the French slight in pubs and across social media, defenders of President Macron's resolute stance pointed to precedent. Hosting the Summer Olympics in Paris awarded the Fifth Republic an unprecedented global spotlight and opportunity to showcase its long-standing soft power appeal. Any transgressions by the famously mercurial Duke that undermined France's projected image, honor or delicate internal affairs on the cusp of their signature moment would be considered nothing short of high crimes against a sovereign state flexing its diplomatic muscle. The Olympics represent the apex of France's international prestige, a renaissance of immense cultural pride for our people who still recall the humiliations of Vichy in 1968's civic unrest, noted Pierre Dubois, editor-in-chief of the influential daily newspaper Le Monde. If Prince Harry did indeed grossly overstep and sully our nation's dignity through some cringe-worthy entanglement, I'm afraid President Macron exhibited the willingness to meet fire with fire by exacting appropriately severe consequences. Nigel Pompleston, the Crown's longest-serving Olympic delegation coordinator who oversaw the London 2012 Summer Games, found himself scrambling to salvage the fast-derailing Paris 2024 tour plans. Expressing a dogged determination to root out the truth behind the accelerating bilateral meltdown, Pompleston warned the French to carefully consider their escalating rebukes against the British Crown. Make no mistake, this cross-channel clash could deteriorate into a first-rate sovereign insult if cooler heads don't prevail between our governments soon, Pompleston said. His Majesty's royal household does not take kindly to such egregious diplomatic slights by any foreign powers, especially those from a nation we considered a vital allied partner and ancient ancestral cousin at the highest levels. The French may have poked the British lion one too many times with this tantrum, so it's incumbent upon both nations' leadership to de-escalate post-haste before irreparable damage is inflicted upon our long-standing friendship. With neither side indicating any intent to back down, the saga threatened to eclipse the Winter Olympic Games still ongoing in Milan as the two titans of European diplomacy descended into an escalating war of words. The Daily Mail reported French diplomatic cables were already circulating proposing additional punitive measures against Britain beyond the Sussex prescription. These new démarches flirted with the drastic options of recalling their ambassador, suspending appearances of any British royals from French television broadcasts during the Olympics, implementing retaliatory visa restrictions on UK travellers entering France for the events, and even branding Union Jack merchandise as contraband security risks prohibited from Olympic venues around Paris. Meanwhile, Scotland Yard security personnel safeguarding the UK delegation already mobilised in Paris were directed to intensify security protocols and respond vigorously to any provocations by French authorities or activists against British stakeholders on the ground. Seasoned royal observers noted the bilateral nightmare brewing between Paris and London evoked eerie similarities to Britain's catastrophic diplomatic breach with Moscow leading up to the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea. In that prior Olympic saga which transfixed global attention, Russia ultimately defied international pressure and bullied smaller nations into acquiescing to its nefarious efforts to undermine the integrity of the Games themselves. The British monarchy and UK government staunchly refused to capitulate against Moscow's rogue behaviour and ultimately prevailed after a no-holds-barred clash of wills. Now it seems a new superpower conflict was brewing with one of Britain's oldest allies, with the exiled Duke of Sussex placed squarely in the first volley of cross-channel recriminations. This rapidly metastasizing crisis will require deft crisis management and delicate back-channel remedies from the upper echelons of both governments lest this spirals into a protracted rupture neither side can easily walk back from. Nigel Ponsonby-Smythe, a prominent global security advisor for governments and corporations, observed grimly. The French are usually more pragmatic about not letting domestic populist political impulses overly disrupt well-established geopolitical realities with critical allies like Britain. Though egos often get bruised, the cherished Olympic tradition has almost always risen above such petty slights between nations who know better. The question now is whether Le Petit Caporal leading France has foolishly overplayed his hand and ventured down a destructive path he'll soon regret, he added, referencing Napoleon Bonaparte's familiar epithet with a sardonic edge. Or perhaps President Macron knows something about Harry's rogue incitements that would not only justify but necessitate stringent counteractions in the name of defending French Republican sovereignty itself. Whatever the reality, it's apparent a dramatic confrontation is looming on the horizon between Marianne and John Bull, and the world better brace for impact between these two nuclear-armed frenemies. As tensions across the English Channel reached a perilous peak, the Élysée Palace remained unmoved in its stony silence over the Sussex imbroglio. Only time would reveal whether cooler heads prevailed to thaw this burgeoning frost between historic allies, or if France and Britain were destined to relive their bloodiest revolutionary clashes over an impetuous prince once more.